What is good, y'all? What is going on? It is the Joe Digital. I'm here. Hanging out at the house, just got finished getting some rest, got finished getting some, I just got some rest, just got finished eating earlier before all of that, just kind of hanging out at the house while it rains outside. And you know what, I just decided that, I would take a quick rest day, but as you all know, I still have to get y'all the message as they come in, you know what I mean? And I just want to let y'all know real fast that I do have a very powerful message in this moment for you all right? Super happy to have you all here. I'm the Joey Digital. This is the Ocean Experience, all right? And go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification so that you may be updated when I post and create all new content, all right? Cool. So I just wanted to let you all know that you all are greatly appreciated. I love y'all unconditionally. Subscriber list is going up exponentially. I truly appreciate you all, and it is super late right now. I was not even gonna post anything, but I said, you know what? I felt inspired to go ahead and post something, so I'm here, and you are here, we are here together, and I just want to let y'all know real fast, real quick, that you all are greatly appreciated. And I want to thank you all for subscribing to the channel if you have done so recently. If you are a new subscriber, I just want to thank you all. To my current subscribers, you already know the love is unconditional over here, all right? And I just want to let y'all know that this message right here, as I said earlier, super powerful message, all right? And what it's all about is the power of manifestation, all right? The power to manifest, okay? If this is the type of message that you are into, go ahead and throw that 100 in the comment section down below, or wherever it shows up on your console or whatever it is that you use, all right? Because I'm pretty certain that a lot of us do watch our videos on the television. Some of us watch them on the tablets, and some of us watch the content on our phones or wherever we see fit, whatever's easier for us, all right? So manifestation is a very powerful thing. Manifestation is a very powerful thing, all right? I am a fan of manifestation, and as you all know, I manifested this life, all right? I manifested this lifestyle, all right? I got on YouTube for the lifestyle, all right? Not for the lifestyle of YouTube, but just to show y'all my lifestyle, and in its entirety, all right? Just to show y'all, just to let y'all know that whatever it is that y'all want to manifest, y'all can manifest it, all right? This is what I wanted to manifest. I wanted to manifest a life where I'm more in touch with the ocean, I'm more in touch with the water, you know what I mean? Hence the background, you know what I mean? Y'all see I have the seashells on my neck, of course I got the metaphysical crystals, y'all know the crystals I got going on, but it's more about the lifestyle, okay? And it's more about the fact that if I can get on this channel and show y'all that I can manifest a certain lifestyle and be truly authentic to it and really buy in and really believe in it, that you too can really manifest the type of life that you desire through, I wouldn't even say hard work and dedication, because it's just a part of what you truly are. So I don't believe that you have to work hard to manifest. I just believe that you have to believe hard. All right, and that is a confirmation right there going in. You have to really believe that this is the life that you really want. Okay, whatever it is that you are trying to bring into your experience. All right, and you have to want it. You have to imagine yourself living that life, you know. And I believe that through imagining it every day, through putting yourselves in scenarios every day, situations where you see yourself living that life, doing those things, eating to live, you know what I mean, the coconuts, the fresh fruit, the working out, the fasting, the meditating, you know, these are things that I wanted to do, you know. And these are things that are very hard to do. If you say you want to do it but you do not do it, it becomes harder and harder if you don't do anything, because as we all know over here, action, you know, faith without works is dead, and action without work is dead as well. Okay, but guess what, you know, we are living not only in our truth, but we are living a life where we are promoting life. We are promoting more life, whether it's the lifestyle or actual life living. All right, so we not focusing on anything that can produce anything dead. We're really producing a life, not just a life, but the life. And it's the life, whatever life you want to live, you know. I go through phases where in the beginning of my journey, then this is before COVID. This is, you know, I guess you could say it now. I don't know if they're gonna, I hope they don't flag it. But, you know, before COVID, I had my own little, I guess you could say, 6 feet distant or whatever. I had my own thing, you know, where I was going through a spiritual awakening because, you know, I was working at this job, right? And it's kind of funny to me, but I think I told the story maybe one other time on YouTube. I was working at this job and I had just got a promotion, and I was gonna be doing really great, right? But we got bought out. I'm not gonna say the name of the job, but I'm just gonna say that I was working at this job, all right? And I got a promotion, and you know, money talks, you know what I mean? So, you know, whether you're a money person or you're not, like, I was thinking like, hey, look, you know, I'm not gonna turn down no blessing if y'all want to give me the promotion. So I got the promotion, right, which was cool, you know. I saw the numbers showing up on the check, right? But then what ended up happening is they cut the hours, all right? They cut the hours, and what it did was that whole same energy people was having during COVID, where it was just like kind of like a crisis energy, you know, or it was kind of like a energy to make you pause. That's kind of what I went through. I went through that like maybe 6 months before all of that, and it was a kind of a scenario where it was like the money was part-time money, but the bills was full-time, because while I was working, you know, they had cut the hours down where I was working at. While they cut the hours down over there, right, the hours were cut, but then at the same time, you know, I was staying in an apartment, and I had just signed a lease. You know, I had just signed a new lease where, you know, where they up the rate of how much you pay. You know, of course, every some leases start off at 12 months. There's some that go 24 months, 36, you know, the whole thing, whatever. So I went through like this whole phase, you know, like I was going through like scenarios where like I was having like issues in, you know, the love area. So like, you know, like I had lost a relationship, and you know, like I kind of went through like this whole phase where it just kind of forced me into a spiritual awakening. All right, and it's not a secret, because anybody that knows me, I talk about this all the time. And of course, this was not recently. This was like maybe like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that. And I went through like this whole spiritual awakening where it just kind of like made me look at my life, because I was living a life where it was like I felt like, oh, this is just me, you know, like I'm fly, I'm lit, you know. I had on like, you know, I used to always wear a lot of designer clothes. I used to, you know, create my own clothes, and I used to always be like more like you know, I'm successful, I look nice, this, you know, super egoed out, right? And it just kind of humbled me to a point, you know, and it, you know, I call it a spiritual awakening, right? Because it really made me sit down and made me think that, like, okay, the world is gonna go on, whether I know what's going on or I don't. And I realized at that moment I didn't know what was going on. I just was living in a program. I was living like, okay, I'm doing what people expect, I'm looking how people expect, you know, yeah, I'm failing in, you know, maybe I had success in relationships, but it failed, you know, and like things, I started watching my life like kind of crumble, and it was like the biggest blessing ever, because I said, okay, no longer am I gonna run my life through a program, you know. And I'd say around like 7-8 years ago, it happened. I had like a spiritual awakening. I never forget. I was like so upset, but, and I say but because it was an opportunity. It was an opportunity for me to gain control of my life and really control my reality, you know. And I started one by one. I started off by, you know, because, you know, let's face it, like, you know, I'm not gonna say my age online, but you know what I mean. Actually, I should now, because right now, like, I am gonna be, by the time y'all see this video, I don't know when y'all gonna see this video, but right now I'm 45 right now. I'm gonna be 46 in November. You know, shout out to my November babies. I see y'all. But 7-8 years ago, I'm not doing the math, but you know, whatever age that was, I was, you know, and I felt like at that age I was supposed to have it all together. And you know, that's the way the programming is. The programming tells you by this age you're supposed to have this, by that age you're supposed to have the family, by this age you're supposed to have the money situation, you're supposed to be, you know, rolling in money, or have a nice home, or have a nice vehicle, or be able to travel, do all this type of stuff. And you know, the reality for a lot of us is that we're only doing the best that we can with what we have, you know. And it's not to say like, hey, let's have a pity party, but I'm just saying, you know, because trust me, I don't want y'all to feel sorry for me, because I don't feel sorry for myself. Like, I love my life, you know, because I feel like if I did not have that spiritual awakening, if I didn't have that, what they call it, the midnight of the soul, where everything falls apart, you know, if I didn't have that moment in my life where I realized I was not in control of anything, then I would not even be in control of anything. Like, I literally realized I was not in control of anything, and I was only doing what people expected, and I was only working because people expected me to work, and I was only showing up, you know, like, you know, you keeping it real, and you wearing the clothes, and you know, worried about your appearance, and you say certain things, and you try to like wow people over, you know, and it's all ego, you know, it's all ego. And a lot of people promote the word ego death, but I don't feel like egos ever die, because nothing ever really truly dies. You know, energy, frequency, and vibration never die anyway. It's just reallocated, you know. And I felt like it was the time and place for me to use my ego, just not in a space where I don't even know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? So like, when I was going through all of that, and things were falling apart, and I was getting notices, and you know, hey, you know, you got a certain amount of money to pay this bill, or you know, we taking it, we cutting this off, or we putting you out, or you know, whatever. And I noticed that I started, you know, realizing, as I was making a point about my age earlier, I was like, man, I'm getting older, you know, I could have, you know, some health, I could start having health issues if I don't get on point. And I started meditating. I meditated that day that I had the spiritual awakening, or the midnight of the soul, or whatever. I started doing breath work, and I never done it before. I thought I was too cool for it. I'm not gonna hold y'all. I thought I was too, you know what I mean? I thought I was too fly for all of that. I was like, yo, I'm not doing all that breathing and all of that. But I did it. I did it because I wanted more life. I wanted to live more. I wanted to do more. And I was, you know, I had already panicked. I already was, you know, going through all of that. But I was like, you know what? I feel like I can get through all of this. And so I started looking up the videos. I started looking up Wim Hof, you know, with the ice baths. I started looking up Troy Casey Health Nut, you know, to learn how to do the breath work, you know, and all of that. I started doing the breath work, And I noticed when I started doing the breath work, I had a Kundalini awakening. All right, and that's where you take all the energy and in your root chakra or wherever, and you cycle it and you bring it up to your third eye. And when I opened my third eye, I never was the same again after that. Like, I never cared about my ego anymore. I never cared about how I look to people, or if I say the thing that is the right thing. Now, mind you, I always respect people. I'm always going to show love and respect people. It's just, before I cared too much. It was like, you're caring about what people feel when people have their own problems. And really, you can't even help people with their problems because you are not even in touch with what you got going on. So when I was able to get in touch with what I had going on, I was able to be more of a service to people because I was more in tune with who I am, and no one could just come in and tell me who I am, And so I had the spiritual awakening. I had the Kundalini, the third eye opening situation, which I loved. And then I started wanting to work out, and I was out of shape. I could barely do like three push-ups, 5 push-ups, but every day I would try. And then I was, again, I said, the ego wasn't dead, but I had to figure out how to use my ego again. So that's a confirmation. I started getting on YouTube and I started watching workout regimens, 5-minute workout, 5-minute morning workout to start your day, 7-minute workout before you go to bed, and I started doing things that the things that I couldn't do, I wouldn't do it. But the things that I knew I could do, like the push-ups or the sit-ups or the planks, I started doing that to add on to the third eye awakening. And so I added those two together. And then once I started living like that, then I started, wanting to eat more healthy, so then I got rid of all my old habits of, like I stopped eating fast food. I stopped eating fast food cold turkey, and it was a shock to my system because I used to love my fast food, my burgers and my fries and my this and my that. I used to go in and it didn't cost a lot to get all that stuff, and you'd be full and you'd be good. But then you start realizing that when you want to eat to live, yeah, it does cost more to go to the fresh market or to go to like Whole Foods or wherever. It does cost more, but that's money that is helping you become better. Your body is a vehicle. So I started wanting to put better things in my body, and I started realizing that, by adding more fruit to my meals, by adding, because you can't just, I didn't just cut everything off and go vegan or anything like that. I just slowly added the vegetables, the fruit, wake up in the morning and eat fruit instead of breakfast, or drink juices instead of coffee first thing in the morning, you know what I mean? Because I love my coffee, but I would drink a juice or whatever, and or drink water and let my body flush out. And then I started noticing that I wanted to be more healthier, because after anything between 28 and 31 days, your body does a full reset. Like, your body will get rid of any cells that are not working, and you will literally become what you eat. You are what you eat. So if you eat healthy for 30 days, your body becomes healthy. All right. And I started fasting, during that time. I stopped eating at 8 o'clock at night. I stopped eating at 8 o'clock at night, and I didn't eat until 12 o'clock noon. I did that, and all the weight that I had, at first I lost it, and people was asking me like, yo, you good? Like, they, hit that like button. They like, yo, you all right? Because you used to be husky, and now you know what I mean? You thin. But then when they seen how I was showing up, and I was like, I was working out every day, and I was showing up, cut up, and then people start asking me like, yo, what are you doing? Like I'm working, I was jogging like five miles at least once a week. Now let's keep it real. I'm not jogging every day, because but that same job that I was working at, where I was, I had the hours had got cut because they had got bought out or whatever. The universe just gave me the intuition. God just gave me the intuition and just said, yo, just start a business. You know, I started a business doing my logos, you know, because, you know, whenever you work at a job and people find out that you're talented, they always tell you like, yo, you need to do something with that. You're just wasting your time, you're wasting your life, you know. And I used to be vexed, I used to be mad, like, yo, don't talk about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I gotta work to eat. But then people that know what they talking about they won't come to you real, and they're gonna tell you the real. They're gonna be like, yo, with that kind of art that you got, you need to really do something with that. And I remember I started the business doing logos, and I was crushing it. Like, I was literally paying my rent and my bills with money that had nothing to do with the job I was working. And then, you know, like, they were seeing me come, like, it seemed like everybody was stressing because of the change at the workplace, but I was coming to work more lit, more live. I was taking more supplements, like, when I say supplements, I mean like ginseng. That's pretty much where I plateau at. I don't go crazy. I'm not into the creatine, you know. Shout out to my creatine people. Shout out to my, you know, the pre-workout people that take the pre-workout before you work out, and this and that, and the weights. I was only doing calisthenics, you know, which is push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, dips, running, and I would do like maybe 2 sets in the morning, and I would do like 1 set at night before I go to bed. And it was crazy because it was like all of this started from a program breaking, you know, a program that I was loyal to, that I was running on autopilot. And, you know, you start realizing, like, what a lot of the older people tell you, the people with the wisdom, they tell you, like, yo, man, just follow your heart, man, do your thing, you know, don't just do what you're told, just do what you can, you know. And I started recognizing that. I started realizing, like, okay, there is more to life than just doing what's expected of you, you know. And so that's why I was saying to y'all a few minutes ago about this is a lifestyle that I want to live. It's not about being on YouTube with it, but I felt that maybe it would inspire y'all to live your own lifestyle, the one that you want to create. It's not about, you know, because anybody can make videos about going to the beach, or, you know, drinking out of coconuts, or drinking pineapples, you know, or whatever kind of stuff I be having in my videos sometimes. Sometimes I be, you know, you might eat grapes, and you know, whatever. Like, anybody can do that at any time, you know, and it's not a slight or nothing like that. I think it's a beautiful thing, but it's more about promoting the fact that you can really live any kind of life you want, and you don't have to check in with anybody, you know, to make the decision to live the way you want to live. And believe it or not, people that love you and care about you, they actually really want you to really live that life.